Superstars very nearly had the solution to the Varian Medivh puzzle figured out, but in the end, after 30 minutes of Battlefield of Eternity, Teammate still took the victory, now putting them up 2-0 in this best of 5.
It is putting them ahead, and you know, I think we started today with a bit more of questions on where does Teammate fall. It still feels a little bit harder to gauge, but it does feel like Superstars was definitely the limit. That's where they kind of draw the line in terms of the strength. They do seem better than Superstars for sure. I mean, obviously they get the wins, but their play does seem more formulated, calculated than that of Superstars. So I would expect even this third game to go into their favor, but Superstars has put up an amazing games. Like, honestly, they really have.
They have, and we'll see where the next game, where Superstars can put an amazing game up, will be. It's Braxis Holdout. This is not always gone great for Superstars, Braxis. They are 2-5 as a record on this battleground, whereas Teammate are 5-2 on Braxis Holdout.
Superstars feels like they're just one right click away from figuring out how to play Braxis Holdout, but they've just never managed to get there. You know what I mean? They realize it's going to be, it's a map that they're going to have to play, especially in part 1 when North America adored it. And you could see the thought process in a lot of the drafts where you're just maybe one major hiccup and you're like, right there, that.
Yeah.
When that happens, like, it's just not looking too good for you guys. And if they have made improvements and they are getting better at it, it is weird because it just feels like you're like, man, if you could just switch one thing in that draft, I feel like this game would be so much better for you.
Draft 1 was Chen.
Yeah.
Draft 2 was the Sylvanas to counter the split push, which granted, things started out pretty well, but they lost. Yeah, they lost some kills, and that was the problem. Is they lost kills early enough on that they couldn't control the rotations and the laning phase. They needed to be able to win that harder.
Yeah, no, I actually really like their Sylvanas adjustment. I feel like they didn't maybe play it perfectly to be able to come back from it, but yeah, there was a lot of misplays that led to them falling too far behind. And even in part 1 with less crazy drafts, it just felt like they were just one pick away, some rotation away, you know? It's just never fully worked for them, but it's not like it's terrible. So we'll see if they figure it out. If they figured out what is the place, what is the rotation, what is the draft choice that they need to be able to hold their own against Teammate.
Superstars traditionally always favors winning the 4-man. In the tradition of Braxis Holdout, you have 4 people in one lane and then 1 person in the other one, your strong solo laner. That has started to be busted by some teams, especially when we look at how Europe has played this battleground before, but Superstars has held on to winning that 4-man, and because of that has lost out on the solo lane before. Whether we see adjustments to that, you know, both teams like Dahaka, we have to see.
We're about to. 5 seconds away. Is it the Mouth? Is it the Zarya? Or is it the Falstad? Not what I was guessing, but hey, 1 global down, 1 Dahaka solo laner remains. Zarya. So Tass has been let through. What do you do, Superstars? You pick Tassadar. You pick the like I
You
know,
like Tassadar? I think they're gonna go. Okay, they did.
Yeah, I was like, I know you want the Dahaker. Wait, that's what we're calling him, right?
No, we're never calling him that ever.
I really think we should. Either way, but the Tassadar, infinite better. Okay, so Tass, he's been let out of the cage. First Tassadar in all part 2, I believe.
Oh my!
He's been 100% banned up until this game. This is his moment to shine. Now Teammate goes, do we rid of Tracer? Is that a problem? Zeratul looks less appealing. Dahaka's still appealing.
Vala.
And they just no.
Malfa noob. I thought they would take either Vala or Dahaka. You know what?
Don't say it. No, do say it, please. What is it? Let's go.
It's time for some E-Star Braxis.
Ooh,
Although
okay.
E-Star didn't win with E-Star Braxis, so maybe not.
Do you want to let everybody at home understand what an E-Star Braxis is?
That was a triple support Zul'jin Dahaka solo warrior dream.
That's E-Star right there. Shout out to E-Star, man. I don't care what anybody at home has to say about how wonky and thoughtless Chinese drafts can appear at first glance. They always make a world-changing meta find.
I love Chinese
It just takes them a bit, and then they legitimately just throw everything until it sticks. And when it does, turns out it's really, really, really good.
Material Gray main?
Ariel Vala.
Yeah, those were givens.
They seemed like it, but they took a bit, you know? I felt the same way. I was like, all right, well, these next 2 picks have to be that, right? But they lost with it in game 1, so I figured maybe they pull away from it.
Again, though, Superstars have yet to get their solo laner, and Teammate may be able to take advantage of that in this next rotation.
Yeah. We're yet to see the Dahaka, which I'm learning we're calling him Dahaka.
The rightful name that he was given from
The hacker. From the game.
Kerrigan?
Kerrigan named
I don't
him?
think so. No.
Man, I didn't know Kerrigan gives out names. Leoric?
She's a queen. She gets titles.
I guess that's true, huh?
Mhm.
She is the queen. Of all Lizard?
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful. Leo ban is more focused onto the solo.
Yes.
Only leaning more towards, you know, is this the Ragnaros Dahaka, whatever it's going to be. So what does Superstars do? Do they ban it out and be like, nah, not today, we're afraid of it? I personally feel like if you ban Dahaka right now, you force Teammate into more of the Ragnaros again, and it's just way less impactful.
I think they'll ban Gul'dan.
I don't want to see a Gul'dan ban.
Okay.
We've talked about Ariel. Like, Gul'dan is awesome, and he is scary, and he is good. But he, you know, you could not have a better double support to deal with it.
Yeah,
There's
I agree.
no
They did
world.
ban it in game 1, though,
Yeah, that's true.
when they had the same, but Zarya instead of Tass.
Yeah. Teammate for them. Get to pick what do they want in top. Who is going to be their champion?
They have played Dahaka both Braxis games of Part 2.
I feel like the Leo really just makes it that much more committed to whoever they think is going to win that matchup. I'm trying to figure out. Honestly, Leoric right now is in a weird spot to where I don't know who he wins and loses to. It's like I know some of them and how they used to play out, but now him coming back, it is a bit different than what we've seen before.
The only thing I was going to say is maybe by taking Arthas, they're able to get someone who can hold the lane well while also taking away another possible warrior pick for Stray, but nope, going to stick with Dahaka and Gul'dan.
Okay, so the reason I really, you know, conveniently enough, both of our ban suggestions were the picks. The reason I really didn't want Dahaka to be let through is based on the fact that having that global with the wave clear, the pressure, and everything else, Gul'dan into the 4-man, you have the best double support to be able to deal with it. It's one of the best trios to deal with the 4-man that Gul'dan is going to provide. But by pulling away that global for that constant gank pressure, if they could put that into something like a Ragnaros or like even a Sonya, it would just be so way less impactful than a Burrow drag combo coming out from Superstars, or from Teammate. The minute Superstars gets burrowed on, dragged on, and they have to use their cooldowns in a way they weren't comfortable starting a fight is usually when they feel the weakest, which is why I very much thought we would see a ban on that Dahaka over that Zeratul. And there is going to be last pick Varian.
Oh.
I've seen this.
Chromie Gul'dan.
In every time into the Ariel. Interesting. The Sonya pickup, I love a lot out of Superstars. Just want to say that into the matchup on the 1v1 up on top. But more importantly, having the Tassadar suddenly becomes really appealing.
Yes.
Not necessarily the Warrior. I would like to see out of Superstars going with the Varian, especially with no auto attackers existing on the other side. Just not doing too hot. I mean,
once he gets shield wall, he negates just a lot of damage overall.
yeah, I mean, it does allow him to kind of go up and eat a lot of damage. That is true with the shield wall. it just feels like the auto attacking still resets the cooldown with the way that he specs, so it helps getting multiple. You usually want that into somebody. It's anytime you can just be like, I'm not taking damage. It's a pretty cool spell, but it just doesn't feel like it's going to be that impactful to what he provides to the lane, to the composition. It's a double warrior, double mage. Like outside of getting on top of a Gul'dan or a Chromie and getting a perfect taunt, it just feels like it won't provide that much compared to like when you have a Sonya on your team, like an Arthas was still an option in this draft. Sonya Arthas Tass, hello? I mean, we know what that used to be in the past, just won the game, period. Chasing it down, enabling a Sonya like that, because she becomes so more forgiving whenever you have a Tassadar on your team.
What would you have liked to see instead of Variant Arthas?
Yeah, I think the Arthas would have been my definite go-to for this. And I can see the being too weak in the poke. If not, Tyrael. Into a double mage, going with the spell, synergizes with Sonya, cross-supporting for everybody.
Well, they didn't know they were going to be into a double mage because Varian was picked before Chromie, but Tyrael would have been cool to see. I think Varian, for them, being able to have the level 4 talent, negate a lot of damage, be able to stand on the point a long time, sort of like Muradin, but Muradin has Dwarf Toss. There were a lot of options that were possibilities there. Let's see how this Varian works out for Srey and the rest of Superstars as we head into game number 3.
We are, in fact, going to figure out how it works out here as Superstars is down 2 games in this best of 5s. Not too much is on the line here other than teammate restoring themselves, holding and furthering the distance from the top 3 in the rest of North America. But other than that, no crucible death on the line or anything of the like.
Superstars would love a victory here over Team 8 because they do play against No Tomorrow on Sunday. However, No Tomorrow did lose their series versus B-Step, so it's less of an issue for Superstars than if No Tomorrow had won.
Yeah, that could have been terrifying. You would have walked in and been like, do we have a chance at beating these guys? Because they look like a whole new team here. It's going to be a 3-2 split once again for Team 8. Makes a lot of sense for Team 8. The first time we saw the 3-2 split here in North America, it was with Chromie. Thanks to Gale Force Esports draft and approach to this map.
Nubrak has taken Region Master, which normally we see Nerubian armor there, but in this instance, not a whole lot of spell damage coming out, and the ability to be able to get globes on Braxis Holdout is very good, especially if you can control those neutral points. Just trying to make sure that he is as tanky as he can be.
Looks like Varian actually going up top to be able to baby Superstars lane matchup. It's a question of, you know, what's better, I guess the Tassadar or the Varian, but they're going to choose to send the Varian purely based on that. This trio is considered one of the deadliest 3 together. Man, even 2 versus 2.
Oh, the Fell Flame did not take out Srey. Now Goku's trying to get back to somehow. Both of Superstars members stay alive in the top lane, but they are low. Wonder if we'll see adjustments made after how that turnout took place.
He's like, I need help up top. And then Srey's like, I got you. And then quickly they're like, no, run, run, run. This is not our place. This is not where we belong. The trio on bottom, though, has been holding their own. Going to be able to pick up a front, at least a turret. So the teams seem to be mirroring one another.
It's nice to see Shando's clarity from Malfurion, given that there are 2 mages that Malfurion's hanging out with, being able to give a little bit extra mana when he does give Innervate to his teammates.
Going for the old Oprah Winfrey strategy there with a double mage Shando's clarity.
You get some mana.
You get some mana. You get some. Iacona knocked up. Beautiful Detainment Strike. The burrow from Glorong. There is no drag yet. It's going to be whiffed, but at the cost of Iacona's life.
Yeah, juking towards your opponent's base at that point is not going to make it any easier for Iacona to get away from that. So that'll give level 4 a little faster to Team 8, but Superstars hanging strong for now. Goku using the Sonya ability to be able to jungle in the mercenary camps to get the first.
I'm going to have to do an entire case study on North American rotation soon here, because it's really interesting what we've done with this 3-2 and how we decide to play it. It seems like we agree that the 3-2 split's a thing. We just don't know what way. What is the best way when it's the most appropriate. For now, it seems to be working out for Superstars as they have control over both the shrines for at least 10%. But it's just something smells weird about it, you know? Just a bit fishy.
I'll leave that to you.
Look at that, man. Somebody, Man Chili out there. Man Chili 89, it's got my back. Thank you. The only non-double male duo we have casting commentary and heroes. Everybody forgets to compliment me, make me feel pretty.
Well, when are you gonna put purple in your hair? That's the real question.
You know, I honestly really wanted to respond with something witty and throw it in your face, but I realized I do not have the confidence to say that comment online and then turn everybody down later when they're like, why isn't your hair purple?
That's fair. That is fair. Teams continuing to trade out damage, but for now, Superstars happy to leave it a 1v2 in the top lane so that they can get the push in the bottom lane. But this is doing pretty well for Team 8. They're still ahead in experience. They've sieged down the fort more.
The burrow from the Haka is going to allow them to capture both of the shrines, too. Question is, how long can they hold it? Sray dropping the first parry. Good knock-up for Justing. A lot of damage out. Reflected the first rotation. Promise seals the deal there. Mid-dash. Good night, Sray.
And that was Dragon's Eye to change up from Team 8. But it is a different Chromie player this time. Pure playing the Gnome Dragon. So far, Team 8 seems to have full control of Braxis Holdout, what we would expect given their record on this in the past. Glaurung's here, trying to drag. Goku was open to dodge. Drag still connects. Yoda there.
Can he get the spin? No, he cannot. I thought, all right, so Goku actually just did something that I kind of want to talk about, but it is going to be a little obscure. So give me a moment here. All right. Yep.
I'm hanging in.
Hey, okay, so when you juke, when you're on the retreat and somebody's ganking you, when you juke, do you have a first thought of, is there a better place to juke, early, later? Where do you drop the juke?
Well, you're watching to see if you can spot when he's going to do it, right?
But if you cannot predict the animation, what is the best place to juke? Right
Tell
there,
us.
dude. Second time in a row. Okay, so
Behind
right on the wall.
Yeah.
Because there is only, like, no, you cannot miss that skill shot. I know your coding in the game will always be the same, clicking through those sidewalls. If you're sticking to one, it will 100% you are going to walk on this pixel. But if that is where everyone waits to throw their skill shots, it is the closest to two areas you'll ever be. It's the most restricted on your motion. It is the last position before you go to your turret. It is the area people are going to throw skill shots. If you got to juke once and only once, always right next to that entrance. I'm not kidding. It just is a surprisingly unknown thing, I feel like, to most of our audience, and apparently, you know, depending on the position and the timing, some of the players.
Dread, you may have just single-handedly been able to liven the experience up of Hero League. Thank you.
Oh, man.
Dr. Dread
Everybody's
coming in for landing.
Yeah, there we go. That's how you juke. I mean, obviously, there's a lot that goes into juking.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot that goes into it.
Up, down, left, right.
But if you... There's the cardinal direction. There's just basic directions. No, but if you can only do it once and only juke once, I want you to try that.
Okay.
Seriously, it is... I guess I just didn't realize that it may not be that well known. Twilight Dream's going to be used, and Sray is still somehow alive. 20 seconds later.
There's no fort here, though. What did Superstars get out of Sray buying time there? Well, they rotated down to defend the Zerg faster. And they may get a kill on Yoda.
They do. They even get the interrupt.
Nice.
That was
so I thought.
Interesting.
That was a weird reaction.
I've never seen that. The auto interrupt after getting, wow, animation canceled there. By the way, we are Yoda-less for now. Heroic list is going to be Superstars, as we can see with their passiveness around the objective itself. The Zerg Rush Shield still sitting at the 50%.
Yeah, this is rough. Superstars have a lot of area damage, have a lot of clear, but keep taking damage from this Chromie.
Just, you know, look at where every CC is thrown. Every skill shot is all in that chokehold. All on the corners I told you to juke. I'm just saying, take a minute to appreciate the frequency at which skill shots are thrown in that area.
All right, we're going to practice this. Next time we have our
There was
play.
5 alone on that siege. 5, all on that corner.
You're not wrong.
All right, I'll keep a mental note. I'll get the tallies going. The next major team fight around something like that, we'll do it.
Superstars are out of options, the 2-level deficit, so they are hoping upon hoping to get a team fight. They did not lose a keep. That is everything for the next phase. They need to get back some presence in the lanes. They need to catch up in experience so that they have a way of being able to take team fights. If they're not going to invade and take some now. Justing, anchoring, sees Superstars stepping in.
Justing gets, Stray gets Glorong. He pops the adaptation. He will be able to heal himself up. There goes the Cocoon. Detainment Strike is there. Boss has been aggroed, though.
Oh,
and
no.
the members of Superstars are just eating the damage.
That is about worst case scenario for Superstars, but at least they stay alive. So not quite the actual worst case.
And we're back. We're looking for the reinitiation. Things have reset. Bud's sitting at 50% in the HP department, but he does have that Twilight Dream. Hosi took a bit of damage. Faye with the slowing sands. There goes the Burrow. There goes the Dream. 1 already dead. 2 with the Chromie from Cure. And they are not done. Bud, though, might end up losing his life to Goku.
Sonya's doing what she can. Crystal Aegis as well. Goku does take out Malfurion, but pays for it with his life. At what cost with Iacona slowly running away? There are skill shots upon skill shots available from Justing. And as they get 13, Team 8 wipe Superstars on Braxis Holdout.
It's going to lead to this Bossarino. This one, you know, a little less intimidating than the last one midway through a team fight. With the pressure of the camp up on top and that of on bottom with 13 talents here, I really just, you know, Superstars is just miles behind. They're going to desperately try and get a straight play.
Flowering may get taken out from that. Faye was doing all she could. The health bars are low, but the boss is there. Justing stops Faye from chasing and getting kills. Buds catches Moonfire there. The choke point for that Twilight Dream from Buds in the last fight was epic.
Yeah, and it really, you know, was the indicator that was like, you know, Superstar's probably not going to be winning this team fight here. Bud's making plays as usual, but the Shrines are up. 50-50 for now. Sray's 2v1, 3v1. I'm sorry, ever since I brought it up, all I can think about is skill shots around chokeholds.
You keep staring at walls longingly.
Every single time a skill shot's thrown, I'm like, that was next to, again, the closest area next to a sidewall. Like, you can just, there's a science to skill shots here. It sounds like a bad like infomercial. We'll be like, hey kids, you want to be a professional gamer like me? All right, and then you just like insert your bad tooltip series afterwards.
You see people face palming dramatically as they lose games. Defeat.
Yeah, exactly. It grays out. It goes grayscale as they're like, no, I'll never. And then you just be like, insert the magic tool. It's either a poorly written 5-step hand guide to being better at gaming, or like a really bad scroll mouse, like scroll ball mouse, where they're like, no, this is new and improved for professional gaming.
For only $9.95.
4 payments up.
If you pay right now, too, if you order in the next 15 minutes, you'll be able to get a handwritten guide by Dreadnought thanking you personally for this. Teamfight goes down. Horrify hits Sonya, who's going to be brought away, but the rest of Superstars trying to get a kill on Buds.
Got him. That is going to be the first kill of the fight. Can Glaron get any more here? Sray, or excuse me, man, Goku gets blown up. Iacona gets a full rotation of the Dragon's Eye there. Members of Superstars on the full retreat. No surprise. Cure's just like, can I get in range of a rotation? No, not going to happen, but they do pick themselves up a nice 100-0 Zerg Rush.
That team fight goes to show how a double mage poke comp is scary for an Ariel comp. She was trying to be able to heal up the team, but without Vala being able to go in at all and continue to keep the energy up, she could not allow the reinitiation. So even though kill on Buds, Team 8 walk away from this Zerg phase with a very healthy Zerg phase that is looking at the keep of Superstars.
How much can they get? The Cocoon is going to be used, but it's a bit out of spot. Never mind. Tassadar is just gone. Goku, will he be able to make it out? There's the first spin to win, but he is too low. Aegis is going to be forced. Well-timed Twilight Dream just says, no, good night. And this is it. Team 8, 3-0 clean sweep even after that beautiful Horrify, putting Stray in even worse positioning here.
3-level lead from Team 8 as they barrel on toward the core of Superstars. It's low-ish respawn timers, but with no Ariel now, as well as the rest, Team 8 have been able to break their losing streak, finally taking out Superstars 3-0.
Taking out Superstars is the step Team 8 needed to maybe break the momentum, the downward momentum they were experiencing before Terminal Velocity, but now, you know, it just feels like you hit the net, but was it where you wanted to be? I think is the biggest thing for me, because Team 8, after being, we got to remember, Team 8 was the #1 team according to the Western Clash. They had the highest placement out of any team in all of North America, meaning that we should be looking at them as like as deadly as Tempo Storm, you know, if that still is going to continue to hold true. And their failure to be able to do so, I think in this being the countermeasure to stop the momentum, to stop the losses, it's nice, but it's not enough. I really want to see where Team 8 goes with the rest of this part after today.
It's maybe not enough for you to be fully convinced that they're back, but I think it is at least enough for them to feel like they have some momentum again. Like they have been able to stop the bleeding that took place after losing 3-0 to Tempo, 3-0 to Gale Force. And what was the score? It was a full 5 game versus B-Step. And B-Step we know is on the rise too, so at least for Team 8, it's a starting point.
Yeah, it is. But again, it kind of leads to, you know, what does that even mean? Because a lot of North America is just so hard to gauge in terms of the value of these wins coming out from Team 8. You know, you look at the group of players and Team 8 should be like, yeah, we can confidently get that win. They got it today, but, you know, whether or not they go home totally ecstatic, I can see them kind of just being like, yeah, you know, we wish you can't ask for better results, but we wish, you know, we weren't in the position that we are.
They're playing with the sub. They're able to win 3-0. Now Team 8 gets to take a breather. They don't play another series this weekend, but they will be playing at Team Freedom on Friday, another up-and-coming team. How do you think that series will go?
I mean, Freedom, they've been doing okay. They've been making the changes. They've been stepping themselves up, and they've been more consistent in part 1. That is, you know, really satisfying, but it's still a mountain to climb for them. Team 8 is still, I would say, pretty far ahead, especially after this win, winning against Superstars with a sub and it being a dominant 3-0 makes me feel like, you know, Freedom's got a lot to prove in that series.
Glaurung now being able to lead his team, Team 8, to victory. We got to see his Medivh play. Again, a little bit of Greymane play too. Thoughts on how Glaurung was performing this series specifically?
Glaurung in this series, I feel like did a lot better than he was doing in weeks 1 and 2, part 2. It did feel like, especially when he wasn't on Glaurung Heroes, was not nearly as impactful or almost sometimes out of place. Like on the Dahaka, we saw him in the last game. He did a lot better job, but it feels like he's stepping it up compared to the beginning of part 2.
Yeah, we know that there's a lot that he has to do for the team, being the shot caller too. But speaking of Glaurung, we've got him here to congratulate him on the victory. Hey, Glaurung, congratulations. I know that you guys want to be celebrating, but thanks for joining us for an interview. The first thing I'd love to ask you is, you guys have been putting Yoda and even Prismaticism sometimes more on Warriors. So talk to us about some of the role changes and why you've been doing them.
I think, honestly, on the current patch, I think Warriors are really strong. And, like, from my perspective, shot calling on Warriors is a little bit more difficult. And I think, like, Priz and Yoda, they're really talented, flexible players. I think they do a better job on those heroes than I would if I were to play that position. So lately, we've just been fluctuating that around a little bit and testing the waters and see how it feels, I guess.
And are you guys happy with the results so far from that?
So far, yeah. I think at the beginning of part 2, it was really disappointing. I let my team down because I took like a 2-week vacation and I was really irresponsible. But we've been practicing really hard, and I think things are starting to improve over time. Scrims are going really, really well now, and I think we're starting to hit our stride again. Hopefully by playoffs, we'll be back in good enough form. But yeah.
That's great to hear.
So with that mentality of obviously, you know, taking them maybe the break, responsible or not, it's not me to judge. So it's just more of what does that mean for your team today after the wins and getting that? Like, does that suddenly make everything okay and everybody's like, we're good, you know, we had a minor bump and it's okay? Or is it more of like, you know, this is just merely, I guess it feels like it didn't gain you guys anything after the win against Superstars?
Frankly, my opinion on our position is the rest of the HGC matches win or loss, it doesn't really matter for us. We have secured our playoff spot. What matters is developing momentum and regaining confidence in a real situation, like real matches. There's a big difference between tournament games and scrims, and I think it's really important for us to win so we can ride the momentum going into playoffs. But for us, our only goal is to become as strong as possible for those playoffs, because right now, first seed, very, very small chance. We could still secure it, but it's pretty much unattainable. So we want second seed going into the playoffs.
All right.
Glower, you guys are facing Team Freedom next week. Any thoughts on that matchup you could give us?
Team Freedom's been doing better, it seems like. They took a map off tempo. I think that's pretty impressive for them relative to last split. So I think it'll be a good match, but I don't really have very many thoughts on that matchup yet.
Okay, cool. Well, congrats again. Good luck with your preparation of that match. Shoutouts time.
Okay, first of all, Priz was having internet issues, so I'd like to shout out my boy Kier. He's a really talented player, just won Heroes of the Dorm, and he decided last minute, like he had no idea he was going to be subbing today. So like we just let him know. He instantly came and played. So I'd like all of you guys to follow his stream, Kier_Hots on Twitch. He's a really good player, really good streamer, consistently at the top. You guys should check him out.
Awesome. Thanks and congrats again.
No worries.
Kier did an awesome job.
He did. He performed well. Like I said, exactly what you would want for a support, or for not so much a support, but a sub. Because a lot of people underestimate what it means to be a sub in competitive HOTS right now, honestly, because a lot of the times, if you're good enough to be a sub, most of the time you're good enough to just be playing on your own. And Kira is one of those players, don't get me wrong, and he's obviously working on that right now, but the fact that he's just so comfortably willing to, join in, get the job done, because it's weird, because you want to lead and help them better their team, but you don't want to mess anything up either. So you're like, give me the hero. I'm going to do my best. Hopefully it works out. And I feel like he did about as good as you could ask.
Especially playing with a Medivh. We've talked about the coordination that has to come in there, and willing to, the first game at play with Glaurung's Medivh of everything. So great job, Kier. Shoutouts to you. Looking ahead now, let's check out what Teammate has left in their schedule, because that first win was important, but they want to continue that trend versus Team Freedom, and then they'll have Naventic and No Tomorrow to look forward to, trying to get as good of a spot as they can for playoffs.
Yeah, that is, things are looking up for the future of Teammate, not only with the win that they were able to get here over Superstars, but with the schedule. Things have settled down a bit for them.
Yeah, they have Gale Force and, most importantly, Tempo Storm out of the way already.
Yeah.
That's generally what teams are wanting, to make sure that they can either just skate through that as fast as they can so that they can have momentum, because it is just so important for a team, especially a team like Teammate.
Yeah, and it's even more important for them, right? Just because, again, they're one of the few that can even compete with those rosters, which then makes it one of those, like, now that if we can hold it true that they win out the rest, a lot of it's going to be momentum, which, Glaurung just admitted was very focused on. The fact that they get those teams that should be wins for Teammate really could help them.
And unfortunately for Superstars, another loss. They are not too close now for Crucible range. They are still fighting for playoff seeding just as much as the rest of the teams, but it is at least on the horizon. It's in the back of their minds that should things change, there's always the possibility, because it's Team Freedom and No